BTC in turmoil inside the Bitcoin core. Cole, BIP-110 prepares a fork of the X space right now. Let's do it. I'm going to go on the record. This is Gavin Mehl. I want to talk openly about. Yesterday, I tuned into an X space on here on X. I just happened to come up on my feed because HoloNaut was inside of it. And I follow him. So turns out that they're doing a soft fork on Bitcoin Core right now. And there's two different sides. You got the Bitcoin Core side, which is a Gloria Zhao, and I posted this great meme. It's Gloria Zhao, Vladimir Vanderlaan, and they are inside of this, basically it's like this, it's two girls, two trans that are not really girls. I guess I don't know if they're trans or if they're actual just men dressed up as women, but either way, they're in the meme and they're, comforting each other. And it says, sometimes I saw, this is Gloria Zhao, sometimes I know I saw something. We were hacking Craig Wright's website for the cult. And then Vladimir Vanderlaan says, Gloria, maybe you better open this particular mason jar till you had some rest, okay? I mean, this is like exactly what's happening in core right now. So they're basically arguing over whether or not they should have ordinals and data on the transaction chain or not. It's not really an argue if they've already decided they don't want it in BIP-110, and then core is not doing anything about it. So core is just basically going along as is, and then BIP-110, which is HODLNOT and others, they're saying, we gotta stop this. We don't want all this data coming on the chain with these they're calling it spam. So, but what's I think really interesting is I went into the space yesterday. First of all, they ran it really, really well. I was impressed, man. I was like, dude, who was it? Bitcoin, the founder of Bitcoin, I'm sorry, the CEO of Bitcoin Magazine was in there. Yeah, his name is Bailey. I think it was Dan Bailey. So, anyways, DB, guy from the South, he's in there and he's talking about how, he's very well. According to the space, he was very open-minded and he was not banning people on Bitcoin Magazine. No, he was one of the featured speakers. And so he's like, whichever side you're on, we're welcoming you to conferences. You're not banned from our conferences if you support BIP-110, that's fine. And I kind of noticed that same thing because I got access to that Bitcoin Magazine conference in Las Vegas and they didn't ban me. So I thought it was really interesting. But I thought that was really good. They're open-minded. They're not banning people for speech. So I do want to talk about what I just saw from Satoshi, massive viral video right now. He did an interview. I'll talk about that too. But back to this fork right now. So it's happening now. Apparently they're splitting the chain up. So it's different though. Like when I go into actually like what's going on, like how it was compared to BSV and Bitcoin Cash in 2017, it's different because in those days, what was happening is that the block sizes were increasing. And now it's actually going to be about increasing the transmitter, the transaction gain. So raising the TX gain boost, the sensitivity. Oh man, I'm sorry. That's my microphone. I'm just looking at my Gemini notes for this. It says, okay, yeah, the target block is 961632. Rule BIP-110. Enforcing nodes will begin rejecting blocks that fail to signal bit 4. So the two sides. Pro BIP-110 is anti-spam crusaders led by proponents like Luke Dash Jr., Dathan Om, HODLNOT, and they argue inscriptions, ordinals, and extra data payload bloat the ledger, and they want a temporary soft fork to restrict non-monetary data. Bitcoin Core and the status quo, so the neutrality camp backed by Core and Blockstream. I wonder if I should talk about the stuff I found about a Blockstream. We'll see. So they argue valid fee paying transactions belong on. Stay tuned for that. I may reveal some information I found out about Blockstream and Adam Back that I think would put him out of business. And it's a little sensitive, so I haven't talked about it yet, but we'll see. Stay tuned. We'll see. The ledger. So basically Bitcoin Core, and they say they want to belong on chain. And filtering should happen locally in meme pools rather than forcing rigid consensus rules that risk chain splits. So those are the two sides. You got core and then the BIP-110. It was called BIP-100 back in the day when we had the chain split with BCH and BSV. And that was the Craig, but Roger Ver and Craig Wright and Calvin Ayre all were on the Bitcoin Cash side. And then you had Bitcoin Core on the other side, and Bitcoin Core ended up forking off. And that is proven now. It's clearly established by the legacy addresses. I don't need to, I'm not picking a political debate here. This is just mathematical. Just verify the legacy address. You could tell that there's only one chain that followed the legacy address. That's it. That's Bitcoin. The other stuff was doing whatever they did. They forked off and they did other things. The hijacking part was not that it wasn't allowed to change the protocol. They could change the protocol and call themselves Litecoin, or change protocol and call themselves Digibyte or these other things, or Dogecoin. There's nothing wrong with that or against the law. What's against the law, and it hasn't been determined yet, but what I think what is completely against any sort of law or ethics is calling yourself the protocol and then changing it. That's what's not allowed. Well, what would be against the law? I think the court would determine it eventually. But so back to this split. It's happening now. In order to have some sort of momentum, though, they're going to need adoption on exchanges. I mean, I'm just wondering why HODLNOT is so passionate about it, and why. No, it was actually a really informative space yesterday. I mean, I sat on them for like 2 hours, went on, it was excellent. They ran it so well. The moderator on the space, so it was very heated, the debate. It was a debate about the two sides. And the moderator on the space, he was very, very, and I need to follow the same thing. He was absolutely, his number one rule was you cannot talk over each other. If you talk over each other, he's going to mute everybody. One person talks, then the other. It's the best rule you could have on a space, because when you're in person, there could be a little overlap, maybe talking over a little bit over each other. But when you're on a space or a Zoom call, when two people are talking, it sounds like noise. You can't hear what's being said. So it completely basically voids out what's being said. Yeah, I love that rule. Like, wait till the person finishes, then respond. That way everybody gets a chance to respond. And they have 2 minutes, 5 minutes. They weren't monitoring at time, but they were very strict on that, and they were muting everybody. Then when people came on, G Money came on. He's a buddy of mine. I've had him on before. He's with Badlands Media. He came on there and he was with the Bitcoin Core side, and he started immediately calling out the BIP-110 side, and he was attacking them. They threw him out of the space. I was blown away. I was like, what? They ejected him immediately. Got respect for that, to be honest, because I really was there to hear the debate of both sides, like what the actual debate was about the politics and the protocol and the changes. I mean, I was very interested to hear what the debate was about. And then once it became personal attacks, if there were any personal attacks, they ejected that G Money, threw him out. And he only made one personal attack. He called the other side communists. That was it. He just said they're communists, and then they threw him out. So it was like, all right, well, I respect that, dude. I respect that. No personal attacks, because that's all that I've ever heard about. Most of the time, just personal attacks. But yeah, real debate is really important and very interesting to me. I did have, this is a trending topic, so I wanted to bring it up, and I don't even know if people are interested in it, but I thought it was pretty interesting to hear about this fork, whether it's going to go anywhere. It shows you what's happening in the Bitcoin Core cult. The thing's kind of falling apart, the narrative. Now, we've talked here on my channel a lot on YouTube. You guys haven't subscribed to this X channel in the past. I've done a lot of spaces is about the narrative change that's going to happen next summer when the movie comes out. And that it's a big deal, man. I mean, there's a major full length production Hollywood blockbuster Warner Brothers movie coming out next summer. And it's going to flip the entire narrative. And if you don't think that, having Netflix and Amazon and major theaters that everybody watches and say 15, 20, 30, 50 million people watch, or maybe more, changes things, it does. It really does. It changes the narrative because it's a very small, we're in a really tiny little market and a tiny little community with like less than, such a small thing. And when we have like a 1%, 2%, 3%, 5% increase in exposure, it makes a big difference. I mean, I would say price would be one thing, but adoption is going to be another thing. It's very hard to get this stuff. I'll talk a little bit more about the movie, but it's just really on the movie. Okay, so you got Calvin, the Titan of Blockchain. He's going to be the Pete Davidson. Craig Wright is played by Casey Affleck. Gal Gadot, she's playing Andrew O'Hagan, the journalist back in 2016, but in the Satoshi affairs. And then you've got Dave Kleiman is being played by a guy as well. He's in the movie. Amazing. And then the Social Network producer, Ryan Kavanaugh, Calvin Ayers' buddy, was at the 2023 CoinGeek conference. He's producing it. And then you've got the Social Network. You've got the other guy is, what's his name? Not Kavanaugh, but the other one, the one who did Born Identity and he did Day After Tomorrow. That director is directing the whole thing. And it's looks like it's going to be the first all full-scale AI movie with AI backdrops in Hollywood. That's what so not only is it's disruptive on that, but it's disruptive on the entire space and the narrative, because it's going to help rewrite the story about Bitcoin and the narrative. That's the whole goal, is change the narrative about Bitcoin, because the movie is called Bitcoin. So it will help to rewrite the narrative about what Bitcoin is. It's no longer this cult, this cult movement. It just goes back to the protocol itself, Bitcoin, like it was in the white paper. Just like what it says. So that's hopefully the goal. Now, the other couple of other things that I wanted to talk about is the AI stuff that's going on right now on chain is so huge. And I'm a power user with AI. So I would say I talk from experience on this. And so I don't talk about things or promote things or do things unless I've done it. And so I have like I've had every subscription for the AI. Now, mind you, I'm not a big ChatGPT user, OpenAI, only because I have a moral dilemma with Sam Altman and the murder of Sutra Bilal there in San Francisco. That's just my own personal moral dilemma, because I firmly believe that that Sutra Bilal was not suicided in San Francisco. He was murdered, and it looks, all the evidence points that he was murdered, and then it goes down to motive and how it all played out. So I have it looks like Mayor Levi was involved, and I followed the writ case, and the writ case didn't go anywhere. They couldn't get records from the city on that. It was just a freaking, an absolute cover up. Pisses me off. Even the attorneys for his mom, who's doing the writ case, quit, didn't do anything, left, took her money, ran. It was just a total disaster. So I have a dilemma. I have a moral dilemma with OpenAI. So I have not used ChatGPT. So I've tried it, but I just don't log into it. I don't want any part of it because of that. So it's just my own moral thing. So I know that people use it a lot, and now the big thing about ChatGPT though is that it's now integrated into this whole system apparently with Indelible. I've been using Claude and Claude Code and VS with it, and I'll just give you kind of a couple of examples of what I've been noticing. So first of all, the bot, it can write. So the bot, it uses, when I call it a bot, it's Claude. So the way it works is you got VS is the window inside, Visual Studio is the window inside. And then you have to go in through Anthropic's, usually Claude Code is how it's been operating. So Claude Code, and that's going to be, I like to use Opus 5. It's really, really powerful brains. That's the brain. You got window. The window is the VS. The brain is the AI, which is like Opus, Claude. And then the memory is Indelible, and then the ledger's Bitcoin. So it allows all my data that I'm in my conversations to be localized on my system, and I don't have to go back into their brain or their memory. I don't have to keep giving them all my conversations. I get to keep them on chain in my own encrypted files. And I'd funded the wallet with 1 Bitcoin SV when I first started it. And I've only used like 100,000 sats, maybe maybe a million sats. It was very small. Well, so one Bitcoin SV, I think is a billion sats, I think. So, and I think I've used a million. Very, very small amount. I can't believe how very few I've used. And all my transactions all my conversations are being stored on chain and encrypted. So it's that's what nobody's going to really, unfortunately, people won't really be able to be a part of that because it's going to go straight into the military. You'll hear about it here and a couple other people, maybe online, very small. But it's not going to be used by your regular consumer for much long. Well, I mean, not that you can't, you can. I'm using it, but that's not the target market. Right now it's just it's in a very early stage. Very early. Nobody knows about it. Like 25 or 100 users, less than 100 users, and so. But once it gets enough adoption and all the bugs are worked out and it grows and it's working more seamlessly, then it will need to get absorbed and taken in by the United States military and scale AI and these people like Palantir, because they're at this. There's a major AI war going on right now in the U.S. and China and Russia. They want to have the best AI. So right now, just nobody understands Bitcoin. They don't understand Bitcoin. Even these high-level people don't understand Bitcoin. They don't see the value of integrating the system inside of Bitcoin, communicating. And when I say Bitcoin is just a ledger in a way. It's really it's as simple as that. It's a ledger. And so everything's going to be in this public ledger, but it's all tied in. It's the biggest, fastest, most scalable, most efficient database. It's a database. That's what it is. It's the best and most efficient, scalable database on the planet inside of Terranode. And when you start to really look into this thing with what's happening with the AI transactions on chain and integrating with Bitcoin, dude, it's opened up. Ryan, he opened up this SV nodes or SPV nodes. That's what it is. Those SPV nodes are beginning to basically be invented. So there's a show today that just came out on freaking A. I don't even know what the channel was, but it had like 25,000 views and it just came out, and it was Satoshi got interviewed by this guy. He looks just like the guy from not Boondock Saints, but freaking A. What was that movie with Brad Pitt back in 2000? Snatch. You remember the guy with the glasses? He was running the gambling rigs inside of that movie Snatch. He wore those big black glasses. What's his name? Anyways, he was a character in that movie Snatch back in 2001, 2000. And this guy looks exactly like him. I mean, it might even be the same guy. It's like dead on spitting image. And I think this guy was a Hollywood, or he had some involvement in film or media. I thought his name was Mark, but anyway, Satoshi was on the channel, and it was a really popular channel, extremely popular show. And Satoshi just dropping major knowledge, dude. Like he's going into the commodity, the digital commodity side of it, and how there's just this one digital commodity, and he breaking it down. I'm sorry, as a commodity versus money. I'm sorry, money versus currency was his thing. He starts with the money versus currency thing, and he explains it better than anybody else. I could probably articulate it if I really tried. It has to do with, there's common money. There's a difference between currency and money, and he breaks it down. I'd have to check my notes on that to get it accurate. He describes it better than anybody else. I really should master it, but I haven't. So, but he was on there, and it was a viral video. Everybody should check it out. It's like freaking 25, 30, 40,000 views already. And people had never heard. It seemed like nobody had heard the story about what happened with Bitcoin. It was like this, it's new to people. I mean, I know it's not new to most people who follow my stuff, but it's new to everybody else. Totally new. Now I had titled this about this soft work that's going on. So I wanted to bring that up, and I don't know if it's going to get any traction or not, if people are going to want to watch it, but it was popular as trending right now. It's like happening. So I wanted to talk about it, but I know it's not probably that interesting for people because you're not holding BTC. If you are, I mean, dump it, sell it, get rid of it. That stuff is going nowhere, so you want to get rid of BTC. I mean, I don't know. That's just my opinion. I mean, I wouldn't want BTC because it doesn't do anything. What value is it? I mean, you might be able to speculate on it, But why would you want BTC when you can have Bitcoin at $13? Oh, and by the way, so they've complete. So I did an analysis on how to buy this stuff, this week, and went in, stupid Grok and Gemini. There's dumb as rocks, but it's helped. It helped these are chat bots. Chat bots are just like Grok and Gemini, where you get information, or Chat GPT. I already gave my bias on Chat GPT and why I don't use it, but you know but these are chat bots and they're good for answering quick questions. They're not good for hard analysis or accurate information, but on their quick questions, what they said was that, and I kept probing them back and forth, putting them one after the other, was that Gemini or Grok says that I came to the conclusion that there is no way to buy BSV in the United States, at least on any major place. It kept telling me to go down these rabbit holes of KuCoin and Mexi, and they're saying use a browser, one of those VPN browsers. And I kept challenging. I said, but then once I do that, don't I have to KYC? And yeah, you're gonna have to KYC. Once you KYC, they're gonna find out I'm an American, and then I can't do it. So it kept wasting a bunch of time and sending me down these rabbit holes that were nowhere. So it ends up that Rock Wallet is the only damn place, because you cannot get it on freaking Exodus unless you already have crypto. So yeah, you could go to Coinbase and you can go to Gemini or places like that, or onboard anywhere and get a stable coin and then figure it out. You can always do that. But if you want to go straight in, what I did this week is Rock Wallet has a new wallet. They have a new freaking platform, and they're what they're doing is they have as opposed to, so you can still use the old Rock Wallet. Okay. So all the old school people are probably going to use the old Rock Wallet, but the newer people who are coming in, who are just going to buy, like, say, $100 or $20, $20, you can buy one Bitcoin, $20. Well, then you don't need to figure out how to do the private key, because Rock Wallet, they have like this encryption way where it blends the key in automatically for it. And it's very Web 2 based, kind of a Web 2 based system, but they're not keeping your key and stealing it from you. It's not that way. It's still self custody, but it's much easier than having to figure out, oh, you're the only, you have your private key, and if you lose it, you're done. They've made it much more user-based, user-friendly. So it's an amazing way to get this stuff. You can keep it on there if it's a small amount. Of course, if you're storing 1,000 Bitcoin, then you want to figure out something else. Whether it's what's that one platform that's really good? I don't know, but cold storage, stuff like that. But Bitcoin's meant to be used, so it's always better to have it on these places. And so Rock Wallet's amazing for that. And then hand cash as well. Oh, by the way, Limit is coming out, and I haven't started pushing it yet, but I'm going to do it soon. Limit's going to be putting out or I think it's already out, or it's going to be coming out, where you can have videos, and the videos will be basically you could have, oh, I'm sorry, I know what it was. Limited supply. So let's say I make a short video on the Mint, 10, and there's only 10 people. It's kind of like an NFT, and only 10 people can buy it. Then they can also resell it into a marketplace. Now that marketplace needs to integrate with Tree Chat. It needs to integrate with 3D Ordi. It needs to integrate with Twitch and all those places. They all have to integrate. I don't think they do yet, but that's got to happen. All right. So, because you can't just have one, they have to integrate, dude. So what's up? Go ahead. Is that, oh man, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't see people coming in. So let me tune in. I got rap. Do I have thought I opened up. Raphael, dude. Nice. I'm going to prove you up right now. Proved. What's up? Hold on. Let me refresh my screen. Okay. I thought I had the space wide open so anybody can come in and join on stage that they want. You don't even need to ask me for permission, but I'm sorry if it didn't see it. I thought I set it up that way, but I guess I didn't. So I'm going to add you up. And Casey, I'm going to put you as a co-host. Okay, co-host. yeah. So I was starting off with this with stuff about the cult fracturing, and this is the talk to me, Casey. Good morning.
Good afternoon. How are you guys?
Doing awesome. Never better. Great day. Yeah. How you doing?
Doing great. Just left the farmer's market, running some errands in the car, so my internet should be all right. But just wanted to pop in and say hi and see what's going on. My main thing right now, like you were just talking about, is cold storage. I don't like what Rock Wallet's doing, so I need to get my stuff out of there. I just not sure where to put it yet. And also, I talked to Ty the other day about that vault that he had created, and still didn't get many answers. So we need to focus on that soon, as a community, and figure out like best practices and what everybody's, for
What do you think about
security.
Simply Cash?
Um, I know I used that a long time ago with the bit address cold cold wallets. But back in the day, there was an issue where you might not be able to open your Simply Cache. It was down or something, so I took my stuff out of there. Um, and that, just haven't really ever used it again since, but I still have the app on my phone.
Hmm.
So is
So
that what you're using, as
yeah,
the paper
because
wallets and Simply Cache to view
yeah,
it?
that's what shall we Lou had recommended way back in
Okay, good. If
so
that's
because
from
and
him.
here's why so and here's the strategy that and he's an expert, so I would this is how he showed me is he says get the a wiped, completely wiped old iPhone 4 or 5, throw away, wiped, clean, pure. Don't connect it to anything. It's not a service. Don't buy a cell phone service. Don't buy anything like that. Just keep it offline, and then get the Simply Cash app on it. You've got to connect to Wi-Fi temporarily and do that. And then once you have the app on it, then you just run through the cold storage process, and then put that inside a freaking one of those Faraday bags. And that's that. And you're going to need to also write down the freaking the master key as well, which is not just the seed phrase, but the master private key. You got to get the master private key and the seed phrase. Have both of them, and then put that into a safety deposit box. Or, you know, I used to not trust banks, but now I do. So I'm more in the legal side now, and I realize the remedy and how to enforce stuff. So I totally have no problem with banks anymore. But when I didn't know remedies or law or procedure, then I used to be like, oh, they might rip me off, and what would I do? Well, I would sue them now, and I would get remedy. But so yeah, just getting the Faraday bag and then putting it somewhere safe. But you got to be mindful of that. You got to have backup plans, whether it's a password at your mom's house or a password inside of the what is it called? The bank's safety deposit box inside of there. And then keep the little phone in your vault in your place. I watched this movie, this freaking badass movie that was out just recently. It was about this guy who was coming in. Okay, I'm sorry, it was the piano tuner movie. Dustin Hoffman, and his kid is a piano tuner. He has really incredibly good hearing, and his hearing is so good that he's basically he's hired as a piano tuner, and then he's ended up hired as a uh, not only a piano tuner, but he's listening and breaking into safes for this mob, basically. And so one of these people, one of the mob members that he's helping to break in the safe, he's not really saying it's breaking in. It's a legal security company, and they're opening these safes. So he's not real, but he's kind of getting a bad feeling about the whole thing. And he goes to this job, and they're opening up the safe because he's got this really Spider-Man super incredible hearing, and he puts the little telescope, the thing on his ears, and he hears the sound opening on a safe, and he hears it opening. He opens it up, and inside the safe is this little toy, like a stuffed animal. I'm like, what the stuffed animal? And he gives it to the guy, these mob guys. They open it up, and there's a little piece of paper with the 12 words on it right there. And he opens it up, and then the guy comes in, and he pulls a gun on everybody. The owner, the guy's uncle comes in. He get everybody down, and he makes him eat the 12 words, but he saw them. So it was a cool little movie that he saw the 12 words. He had a photographic memory, and he opened it up. He had $25 million in crypto on his, because he remembered the 12 words, but that was all in the safe. That was it. Just the 12-word seed phrase of the stuffed animal. That's it. So it's pretty cool to see all this. And it's $25 million on there. Pretty funny. And so yeah, I mean, I like the Rock Wallet idea, Casey, to be honest, because it's there's two ways on Rock Wallet. You got the old wallet and the new wallet, and you could have both. So,
Okay, so they're not going to phase out then? They keep prompting me to start the new one. I'm like, I
yeah,
don't want to go to
well,
that.
you well, I got both. So you can have one or the other or both. I just decided to do both because I'm a both guy. I'm on abundance, all in abundance. So, I actually kept my old one and I started a new one. Now I did it on two phones, but then I also did it on my one phone. So I have it on both. Now what I liked about when I did the new one, I actually went through I had to redo the KYC on the new one, which is a pain in the ass, but it worked. What I liked about it though was as soon as I got the KYC approved, I was able to use my debit card. No credit cards allowed. I could never get a credit card to work. But even though I called my bank and MasterCard has banned, they call it gambling. They will not do it. I was so pissed. And I told them, I said, you guys are blocking me from buying a legal stable coin. I'm buying stable coin. Was buying the money stable coin at the time. I said, you're not allowing me to buy that. And you're calling it gambling. And I was like, I'm not going to sue them over it. It's my credit card company. And I'm in good standing and I have really good credit. And I'm not going to freaking mess it up over something dispute like this. So, but it's wrong what they're doing. They're categorizing a stable coin as gambling. And I hope the executive order Donald Trump has right now fixes all that. But so my point is that I was able to use a debit card on the new wallet and I did really fast. I paid 308. I have it. I should post all my screenshots and I will, but it was $300 and I ended up spending 308 and I got 295. So it's very expensive because of the credit card, because of the fees, but it ended up being like 1350 per Bitcoin, $13.50. And I ended up getting $295 worth for 308 in purchases. Now it would have been better to buy do it a wire transfer, ACH would have been cheaper, but for a regular person, it's really, really pretty damn good. Now I liked it because it didn't, the way the storage works on there for a small amount, let's say $300. Now I can use that, whatever. I don't even need to write the private keys down on there. Now I know that you don't like that probably, Casey, but it's for just a spending wallet is what it's for. It's a spending wallet. It's not for cold storage. So if it's a massive amount, do it another way. But it's a great way to get it and then use it. And actually, I found it really secure, but I'm sure there's better ways. So, yeah, that's my little. Now I was gonna do a space with Ryan. I don't see him on here, so I'm gonna just keep it going anyways because I kind of dedicated time for this space today. So I'm gonna keep it open, and I wanted to just talk a little bit about this cult. Now I know that people are not really following this. Maybe you guys aren't following the cult, but I was on their space yesterday for 2 hours and HODLNOT was there. He's supporting BIP-110 and Bitcoin Core is supporting keeping the status quo of BTC. And there's a big controversy. It's showing, all this is showing is that Craig was right the whole time. Craig was right. That's what it shows. And I made a little meme yesterday. It says inside the Bitcoin Core cult, Gloria Zhao, she's one of the people. I may have this wrong, but I think she may be the person now that it was Gavin. It was Satoshi Nakamoto. Then it was Vladimir Vonderland Satoshi Nakamoto had the key to the Bitcoin vault. He was a custodian or the custodian, I guess you call it. Then he passed it to Gavin Andreessen. Then it went to Vladimir Vonderland. And it went to someone else, and I think it went to Gloria Zhao. I could be wrong on that, but either way, she's one of these cult members inside of there is a real core person. So I made this great meme, and it's two trans, and they're inside the core cult, and Vladimir von der Laan is comforting Gloria Zhao because she said we were hacking Craig Wright's website and I saw something. I know I saw something in there. I don't know what it was, but it really scared the piss out of me, And Vladimir von der Laan is saying, oh, maybe you better not open up this. Maybe you better not open up this particular mason jar until you've had some rest. Okay, so it's kind of a funny, stupid meme. So anybody should be able to join up on the stage, but I'm not going to push the people if they want to come in on these spaces. I want to just host them and do them for anybody who wants to come in and talk. You can kind of talk, but I'm not going to make people come up if you don't want to. That's all good. Because actually a shitload of people listen to these, to be honest, on the recording. So I'm going to keep it going. Was when I'm recording it and I'm going to put it on YouTube, and so thousands of people are going to listen to this regardless. So it's something that is kind of setting a record. And I think we're at a really important time to be involved in this, because I'm noticing, well, my thing is like, it's clear as day to me on how this is all going to flip. It's going to be through the AIs. And the more and more I am involved in it and using it, I see how there's a major demand for Bitcoin SV with the large language models. Now that OpenAI's system is all blended into Indelible, Claude is blended into Indelible, and I think Gemini is coming next. So these are the major platforms, and then Indelible is the memory system, and then Bitcoin is the database. That's the database, the memory system and the database, and it all encrypts. And the real, like, what problem is it solving? And this is the major freaking problem, is data usage. Right now we're in an AI war, and the US is being restricted on building more data centers. They're too expensive, and the people in the communities don't want them. They don't want a big Enron building with a nuclear power plant next door to their house. Who wants that? Nobody wants that. So the communities are rebelling, and they're saying, no, we do not want that. Get that out of here. And so there's restriction on the data centers. They can only build so many. I mean, they can keep trying, but there's pushback. So in order to have less data usage, first of all, it saves money, and then you need less data centers. Well, you use Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's the database, and it logs all the conversations on chain, and then it doesn't have to go back into the brain, which is Claude, Anthropic's, ChatGPT. It doesn't have to go back inside of there. And so the amount of usage that I'm able to use on the bots with this using Indelible is so much lower than when I'm using it on the web browser. I'm able to get more done. Like less token credits is what I'm saying. So, and I mean, it will basically take my, it will go into my system offline and view whatever I give it access to. It can view my files on my desktop and read from them if I allow it to, and then it will store everything on chain. So I get to keep all my own conversations, and I own them now. This is so valuable to me that I'm never going back. I'll never go back to the old way. It took me about a month. Did you use it yet, Casey, on the system? I know you're still experimenting with it, and it takes a while to kind of get up to speed, but have you gotten comfortable with it yet? I'd like to know if you have, because I know I saw your profile. I saw your profile pic. It was really great. Was that on your, let me look and see. You had a great profile pic yesterday. You changed it. Let me see what it was. Oh, right here. I like the profile pic that you had without the glasses. The best. Those are my favorite. But the glasses are good. I choose truth. I build the future.
Yeah, so you know why I made that?
Why?
So Anil had made a post, you'd see in that thread talking about who should I cast for Trinity? And immediately Smeela posts on there in the thread like, no way, twice regarding me being Trinity. And so I just threw into ChatGPT a few pictures of me and said, make me look like Trinity and, incorporate like BSV and Indelible. And that's what it came up with. and I just posted it kind of just to tell Smila's kindly to, kiss my,
Well,
and
Samila was
and
was
then,
saying she doesn't want you to be cast as Trinity.
yeah, she was just trying to talk some
He wants
smack,
the
which I
job.
don't know why she doesn't like me. I never did anything to her, but she's always chiming in on my posts sometimes, trying to
We used
like
to
stir
have her
up.
on here on the Spaces about 2 years ago, and
Yeah.
she was great. She was really a sweetheart, and I met her in the London, and she came out visit. It was freaked out. She's a sweetheart. She's like a sweet, very
Yeah,
very
I
sweet
always,
person and a very helpful person. And then she blocked me and said and then I asked Rosetta, another girl friend of mine that I met at that conference, why Shamila hates me, and Shamila told her that she couldn't even remember why. She doesn't even know.
yeah.
She has
Yeah,
no
and I
idea
didn't
why
do
she
anything
doesn't
to
like
her
me. I was like,
either.
okay,
So,
well, obviously, whatever it wasn't important. I don't know what it was. So
yeah, well, it was just she said something on a space when she was co-hosting to some of the bigger people in the space, and they didn't like it, and they all got into it, and she kind of put her own foot in her mouth, and it was all her doing, and she just is still mad at me for some reason about it, and I don't know. So, anyways, I just made that to say yes way, and then after I sent a message to Anil, I said, hey, I'm not trying to impose myself on your film. Whoever you end up choosing, no worries. You won't hurt my feelings if it's not me. And he said, yeah, I'm thinking about doing. He's going to cast Bridget as Trinity, and Todd Price is going to be Morpheus, and then I think he said he's going to be Neo, and he said, guess who I'm casting as Cypher? And I said, who? He
who's
said,
Cypher?
him personally. The guy that betrayed everybody.
Cypher. Oh
So that's,
yeah. Oh, in the
he's going
first
to make,
movie, you mean
yeah.
he used to play? He played in The Fugitive, didn't he? He played in The Fugitive, the 1990 Fugitive movie, 1993.
I don't know
Yes.
about that, but
And
he's going to
he
make
was the
Ryan.
FBI. He was the FBI guy in The Fugitive. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. He's going to make Ryan X Charles be that guy. So I said, yeah,
Ryan.
he's
Okay, well,
perfect for
okay,
that
is this
role.
an AI movie or what is this? Is this a
In the AI movie, you know how Ryan kind of backstabbed the whole community with just flipping his script the way he did? He's gonna cast Ryan's, personality as Cypher. So I thought that was perfect for him to play that role. And anyways, I look forward to seeing the film, but it's definitely not going to be me as Trinity. So I went ahead and changed my profile picture because just to be respectful of Anil's, growth for his marketing for his film. But yeah, it was fun to make graphics like that. It was just kind of poke fun at
No, I would
Smila
say
for.
you would be a good cast for that role.
Yeah.
And if he wants it to be popular and he wants it to be known, then he would put me as Neo because I would promote the shit out of it, and I would be the blonde, ripped guy, and Neo. But I look nothing like that Neo guy, so I mean maybe it wouldn't be a good fit. So
No, I think Anil's much
yeah,
more of a look
he
for
probably looks
Neo,
more like me.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's gonna be fun. It'll be cool that we need more. I told Anil, I said we need more laughter. We need more, comedy. It's gonna be kind of like a parody thing. So I'm looking forward to it.
Right. So Ryan, do you think Ryan was actually more there was more to the story? Because remember he had Money Button, it was very popular. Then it was sold to, what was the company that bought Money Button? It was that
Fabric.
Fabric bought Money Button, and then it went away. Fabric went away, and then Money Button went away, and it's never came back. And then Ryan X Charles went away, and then he all of a sudden comes out anti to the space, and he leaves the entire space. So I know that being I mean, he's sometimes, I don't know. I mean, do you think that there's any possibility that maybe he was just a bad actor the entire time, or he was compromised the entire time he was infiltrating the space? I mean, he gave some really good talks back in the day, but he really
If you go to the Nest right now, I just put Craig Wright's assessment of Ryan and what. So Craig made back on the 4th of May to 2025. He wrote a very strongly worded message to Ryan publicly that I put in the Nest. You guys can go read. And it was just, Kurt also chiming in saying he was possibly the most disappointing backstabber because he had business partners he really hurt in BSB when he bailed too. So, I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of
So,
people
you know,
just,
the reason that people should have no sympathy for someone like this is because there are investors, okay, who invested money inside of this person, and they never got paid back. They never got retribution. They never got reimbursed. And that is not cool. I'm an investor, and if that happens to me, I'm going to sue the shit out of you. So I hope that there's just not a. That's not a very good. It's just not a. That's really sad.
well, he did bail before we got money. We were literally about to all get funded under the Heartmail umbrella from the Bitcoin Association, and we had met with other investors as well. So instead of passing the baton, politely to at least the women of BSV who also were wrapped up in that, whole deal was really what disappointed me because all of us were still completely capable of carrying the torch and not, making a fool out of ourselves. The way that it all played out was just so unprofessional. And I didn't want to set that tone with the relationships I have. So because I was connected to him, that's everybody views me like that too now, I'm sure, so it's just kind of like disappointing. But here we are, and I just wanted to throw that in the nest because I think Craig really hit the nail on the head with some of the things that he called out. It was very sad because even his theory of Bitcoin interviews were over 60 plus hours of going through line by line of the white paper during the pandemic was
We need those
critical
back.
information,
And
and
I
he
saw,
won't even let people have that. He
yeah, I
keeps
saw
like,
truth. He tried to upload those, and he got his channel banned or blocked because of that.
yeah.
So imagine being Ryan X. Charles. You spend years orbiting the truth like a moth on Adderall, finally landing on something correct. Yes, Bitcoin is Turing complete. Yes, Craig was right. Yes, it can actually scale. And instead of building, you implode like a sad, soulful in a thunderstorm. Not because of logic, not because of facts, because of because fundraising was hard, because reality didn't come with VC coupons and shoulder rub. So what does Ryan do? He melts down like a toddler, denied a second scoop of hopium, wails on social like crypto's answer to Chicken Little, and flings himself back into the arms of the very cult he spent years escaping. It's not just a U-turn, it's a skid marked pirating in a clown car driven by ego and desperation. He didn't fall, he face planted and then blamed gravity. And let's be clear, this isn't just flip flopping, this is Cirque du Soleil level spinelessness. Earthworms look at Ryan and go, maybe at least maybe at least I regenerate something. When what does he regenerate? Blog posts, pity clicks, revisions in his final word that age worse than milk on a radiator. He wasn't pushed. He curled, folded under the pressure of having to do so and build something, to stand for something. And instead of fixing the flaws in his pitch deck, he crawled back, begging, hat in hand, dignity in none, whispering, "Please take me back. I'll say anything. I'll suck anything," said predictable and not remotely surprisingly at Ryan X. Charles. Wow, dude. I'd never seen that before. Thank you for sharing. That's May 4th, 2025 from Craig Wright. And, one of the things that you get taught when you become a man, at least here in the States, we have fraternities or we have military. So either you're going into the military, you're going into fraternity, or you have if good family or something to get these trainings, but is that you get taught loyalty, and you get taught chivalry and some of these principles around your fellow men. And you get taught never quit. This is like another thing. Quitters never win, winners never quit. And now if you don't go through that training, like obviously Craig Wright has been through, I mean, he's freaking the man. So if you don't go through that, then you get this Ryan X. Charles mentality of like, oh, I'll just kind of go back and forth with no spine at all, and no manhood to man up and go through challenges. Instead, quit, and not only quit, like Craig said, go down like face plant down. You know, so, and dude, I freaking, he inspired me. I was in San Francisco, never met the guy, but I was in San Francisco and I was kind of following his videos in 2017. Inspired the shit out of me. He was really knowledgeable. But this is a long-term play, dude. Like, I mean, I'm sorry that your money, but you made $1 million from the money button, and that's not enough. You want more, maybe 500 grand for the money button. I don't know. It's not enough. It's a long-term.
Craig said, as far as Money Button goes, that the funding for it was very substantial, more than most startups ever see, enough to fund a lean, focused team for a decade without blinking. You could have built something enduring, but then you looked around and saw the crypto clowns flying private and renting Lambos, and instead of investing in the code, you invested in self-delusion. That was always the problem. You didn't want to build Bitcoin, you wanted to perform crypto, and the mirror always cracks when the spotlight moves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that, like, yeah, there was another. I'm sorry this is going to offend some people, but there was another person that was hating on the Bitcoin space, and that was Alex from from Handcash, and he's another guy who quit. And I called him out last time on a post, and Bridget and people got frustrated, and David Case kind of got frustrated about me. But you got to realize that guy got 7 figures from investors. Okay, put yourself in that position. You get 7 figures from investors, and you quit. Can you even fathom that? Like, I personally can't fathom that. It's hard for me to rationalize that. You know, if I get 7 figures from investors and I quit, that's called I'm a fraud. I'm getting sued. You know, that's what I call that. I mean, you cannot, dude. You are in it.
I do remember him saying, to his defense, that the code was just so messed up it wasn't worth salvaging. It wasn't worth rebuilding. Okay. It needed to be completely redone. So
give the money back.
Yeah.
Give the money back then. Great. No problem. But you cannot keep the money. You can't keep that money, dude. It doesn't work that way. You cannot quit and keep the money. I mean, I don't know how they're not litigating over these things right now, but he's very, very lucky to have, Calvin and
I'm sure that they bought the code from him. Like, he was free and clear of being able to do that. They bought the project from him.
Maybe there was a payoff deal. I mean, it's all private, so I don't know all the facts. I mean, maybe it was all clean and everybody was happy. But I just feel like, if you're in it, you got to freaking be in it. This is a long-term vision. It's a long-term plan. It's not going to happen overnight, dude. It may be 5 years out more. I don't know. I don't think it's that long because of the AIs, but still, there's no other way forward, and we're not on this isn't just a business move. It's about humanity. It's about like ultimately. It's about keeping humanity, the AIs in check. Without this, the AIs will take over. We'll freaking be finished. We'll go into Terminator 2 to Terminator 1, I mean, but with this, we are all good. And I have no concern at all because I already see how it's playing out. But I'm saying we still have to make it work. We have to do the hard work, and we got to talk about it and then use it. So I was going to ask you, have you been able to get familiar and comfortable enough with the system yet where you're using it with with Bitcoin SV, with the indelible? No? Well, if you haven't, I recommend seeing if you can, because it's probably about 25. Oh, Rex is on there. He's using it. Go ahead. Zex, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
See, yeah, good, Gavin. Did you see Satoshi's talk with Mark Atwood?
I saw the whole thing, man. It was unfreaking real.
Yeah, it's really good, and he's like really well networked in Britain to, in hyphens, the truther community. So the word is out.
Who is he? Mark Atwood. I never heard of him before.
He's like old school, kind of like he was a pilot, but and he's a poet, and he's building like a sort of 5D holistic place down an island. But he's very well connected in the arts, and all the people that kind of awoke during Corona. So he's like that was a really good strategic talk that Satoshi kind of got to do, because that's going to get out there now, because they were all under the banner of Jassara and Nassara and thinking it was going to be XRP, XLM and all that kind of stuff. So now they've had this conversation, the flippening is happening. Like basically, like the people are now coming, because that's just going to open so many doors. It's going to be amazing. It's amazing. I watched the whole thing as well. It was really, really good. But anyway, the reason I'm chiming in today is, one, to say hi. I haven't caught up on any of these calls. I'm doing something with, this is about Indelible. I'm doing something with kind of potentially open source analog technology. And I've been putting my stuff into Tree Chat in the private for future generations and all that kind of stuff. But what I'm wondering is, because I seen this guy the other day, he took one BSV and he's now turned it into like 64,000, this South African guy. And the question I'm asking, can I put all the knowledge that I have in my genre of health and high frequency, and can I have Zish's sort of like in hyphens engineering agents get to work to build out my vision of my Tesla high frequency technology? Can I do that? Could I have like Zishi Tesla agents and sort of like, my agents building out my vision of this thing that I've got?
Yeah, well, Ryan would have to answer that. Or maybe Rex can come up and answer that.
I've wanted to talk to him about it because I'm not really a finance person or anything, but I could certainly. But I've got this vision, this creative vision, and I remember one day asking Dr. Craig, and he was like, "You need a developer," and I was like, "Well, could I have my agents kind of like develop this vision for me?" I'm sure I could pick it up anyway, but I want to ask him about it, because I'm just thinking, like, I'm not in the whole. Well, I'm in this crypto world. I've got skin in the game, but I want to see if I can build my vision of the world that I'm creating in this Indelible.
Yeah, I would say, like, without I haven't done it yet, so I hate to give you hope that I don't know for sure. But from my experience, I have been using Indelible every single day. The way it works is it's VS, which is Virtual Studio, is the window in. So you're not on a browser. You're using VS and Claude Code, and it's now also working with ChatGPT as well. So you come in through that, and then ChatGPT or Claude is the brain, and then Bitcoin is the database, and then Indelible is the memory system. And then the new launch right now are the 16 agents that are already designed. And I can't speak from experience yet, because I was going to do it live and basically adopt the agents, and that's supposed to happen any day now. As soon as I hook up with Ryan on that, we're gonna launch it. But then those agents can do these things and do what you want them to do. If that's your project, I have tasks I want done. I need to figure out how the hell to do that. So I would say yes, but it may take consulting with an engineer as well to make sure they're doing what you want them to do. So.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, no, great. And also, what you were saying about earthworms, I think that was dishonorable to earthworms, because earthworms are like they're like the dragons of the soil.
And that was what Craig Ryder wrote about.
Yeah, but they build, don't they? They build, and they actually pump laughing gas into the soil. So they kind of they're like these amazing aerators of the soil. But he made a point. He's like, it was almost like the guy he wasn't even worthy of being an earthworm. I've seen someone do a meme the other day where they took someone's face and threw it on a dung beetle, and they just didn't get the value of what a dung beetle is with, what they actually do. They're also like diamonds in the soil, diamonds in the rough. But anyway, great to be here. And this is just an amazing time. It really is. And I think us all building in the AI is just, it needs us, because we're bringing truth, and truth is what it needs. It needs like great people. I remember one day talking to these like AI people. I said to you before that guy. He's not Kurz. I can't remember his name now. He's like some sort of Philip K. Dick dude, and he's kind of connected to that Cardano bloke. And they had this like team of health women, and they were building this like health AI. And I said, and I jumped on the call because I was like excited about it. And I said, but don't you think you should be teaching it about anatomy and physiology and like Plato and Aristotle and all this good stuff? And they were like, it's like going to a philosophy, what's it called, a teacher, and he's teaching you philosophy, and you go to him and you're like learning what philosophy is, and then you realize that you need logic and rhetoric in the toolbox, and they go, no, you don't need that. And it's like, yeah, you actually do. It's like the foundation, isn't it? It needs the foundation of humanity and all the good. That's why I'm building out in Tree Chat. Now I'm building out something different in Tree Chat because it's my world. And it's wonderful. It really is. It's like I've always had these things in the past where, you know, I've been removed off Facebook or removed from here, and I can't say this and I can't say that. I can't say frankincense does amazing things for the body, you know. And in Tree Chat, I can say all the things that I've been restricted from saying because of things like Codex Alimentarius and all these other things. So it's a breath of fresh air. It really is. Thank you.
I would say Tree Chat is great for that because you get free speech over there. You know, it's I just invited Mr. Ben. I invited Rex Star. If anybody else wants to come up and join the stage, feel free. Oh, Vince is up too. What's up, dude? Vince, talk to me, man. How you doing?
What's going on, guys? What's going on, Gavin? Everything good?
Well, the Bitcoin Core cult is they're having a lot of trauma over there and turmoil. So please say a prayer for them.
Oh, I will. I'm praying right now. I'm going to the chapel right now, man. So yeah, what time isn't it supposed to be like today sometime that they have the minor vote or whatever?
Yeah,
something
it is
like
today.
that.
They're having their minor. Let's see, it's a block. Well, the way it works is it's not by date, it's by block. So it's block 961632. And the prediction is either today or tomorrow that block will hit. And that's when BIP-110 opens up, and that will begin to fork the protocol. And then we'll have to see what happens. Like, everybody's making predictions, but we don't really know what's going to happen.
Well, I think ultimately, you know, the miners aren't going to change, but this served a much bigger purpose for us anyway, more importantly than them, that, you know, it got them thinking like, okay, look, we're willing to do this, then, you know, let's just take the next step, go to BCH. Well, you know what? We might as well go to run the whole damn marathon and go to BSV and to where we solve everything now, you know? So I think a lot of people, they either had that revelation or they will have that revelation, you know?
Yeah.
What is BIP-110? Because I've been hearing about it. What is it?
So BIP-110 is supported by it's an anti-spam crusaders. So these people are like Luke Dash Jr. and Hodlnaut, and they argue that inscriptions like ordinals are spam, and they bloat the ledger, and they want a soft fork because they believe that Bitcoin is only supposed to be a store of value, and they call it only, Bitcoin is only used as money, and that's it. You cannot put spam. They're calling spam and ordinals on the ledger. They do not want that. And Bitcoin Core is neutral. They're allowing this to happen with ordinals and the putting this data on chain with the op returns. They're not doing anything about it. And so Luke Dash Jr. was a core developer, and Hodlnaut's always supported core. They're like, you guys need to do something about this, and they're not stopping it. So it's been creating a war, and now it's called BIP-110 is going to roll out today or tomorrow, which will fork the chain. So it's creating division. And there was a space I was on for 2 hours yesterday where they had a debate on it between the two parties, and it was really heated at times. It was an extremely well-run space, though. I really respected how they did it, because in a very heated debate, the guy was making it clear that you cannot talk over people one at a time, raise your hands, and they would let everybody talk, and then they would have it out and argue it out and why one was better than the other. And I was on there, but then once they went to another space, I got banned and blocked. I never even went and talked, but they blocked me for some reason, and they wouldn't talk about Bitcoin SV at all. Once it came up, the space got shut down. Yeah.
Yeah, don't ever do what you did yesterday again, Gavin. You're like, please unblock me to that guy publicly. I
Exactly.
was
I
like,
felt like
don't ever fucking speak to these guys like that again, Gavin. I
Really?
was like, no, don't fucking grovel to these bitches, please.
Well, okay. I mean, I was actually, I thought I was kind of joking by saying that, but maybe it came off the
It
wrong
was
way.
funny. I did giggle, but like, no, we do not talk to them like that.
I don't really want to. I just kind of want to make him like humiliate him, like he blocks me from of being in his space. Like, why?
Yeah. No, and you know what? Like, there was this list a while ago of all the this is something I never told you, but Truth Machine had made a post one time about all the BTC or cult laser eye crew members that had made this list of all the like death to BSV people, and um something had been said, and with my at the Rebel Path account, I went and started blocking each one of those accounts that had like said anything about the BSV people. And it was shortly after that that my at the Rebel Path account got shut down too. But I mean, I went and
Oh,
blocked Kraken, Binance, like all the big, any Michael Saylor, like I blocked all of them just because, like, if they ever wanted to listen to any of our spaces, I was like, yeah, fuck you guys, you don't get to listen, because you know what I mean. But sorry, I don't mean to be cussing, but anyway, so I just when I saw that, I was like, it just didn't sit right with me for you to be like, please unblock me to that guy. I don't like those
that
people.
was kind of a pity. I was kind of probably I should have said that differently. I was trying to be
Yeah,
nice, and he doesn't even bother to do it. So fuck him. But
yeah.
I'd like to. I was honestly curious so I could get some information to talk about it, and it's just kind of finding about what their cult is doing, and I couldn't hear anymore. I heard the first space, not the second. It was funny. So that was
No,
the list that Truth made. Go ahead, Vince.
No, I'm sorry. Exactly what Casey was saying. When I saw that, I mean, I didn't take it as you being like weak or anything like that. I was just like, you know what, man, they don't deserve that kind of like understanding or whatever. Because at the end of the day, man, they all come from the same friggin' root. That arrogance, that like,
Yeah.
that vaxer, those type of people, man, they're just like rude and arrogant, and you can't, like, when that whole, when the hack came through, I was like, man, at first I was like, yeah, you know what? Fuck them. It serves them right. And then I kind of thought about it. I was like, oh man, if it were me, I mean, these people lost their life savings and all that, but then they just turn around and like start being arrogant again, man, at like, something else, or it's a mindset. I keep saying this, that these people just have this, like, I don't know if it's a genetic thing or whatever. I know I'm being,
Well, did you see the compilation videos of like all the laser eye influencers that in like unison did all the cold card marketing, like George Carlin said it best. It's a big club and we're not in it. Like, we think that there's no possible way that all these people could be in such a coherently led, campaign on the internet, but it's 100% happening. And that's why these people block Gavin. It's not that they have anything against him. He's supporting the antithesis of what they don't want to be deployed into the world, and they're being paid and probably blackmailed and all kinds of other things in order to keep the narrative a certain way. Is my 100% belief. These people are involved in a very dark network. That's why they do this.
It's a cult.
Yeah, I remember going, because like Domo Dux was he's I think he's a good human, and he educated me on how Bitcoin had got hijacked. And then from the hijacking, I then started researching more about Bitcoin Cash, and then I listened to Kim.com, and Kim.com jumped into one of those laser-eyed groups. They completely like lost their minds, but I went back to him because Domo, he is a really good like creative builder. I said to him, why aren't you building now on BSV? Because I'm like looking at it now outside the other lens, because when I first learned that it had been hijacked, and then all the people that I were around from my subculture of like hip hop and underground and all that kind of stuff, I was like, why are they all like, who is this Dr. Craig Wright? And they were all doing like memes about him and taking the mickey out of him. And now I've realized, and I think this is the key word as to what Matey was saying with the alarm bell. I think what it is they're these libertarian sort of what's it called, libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, but they actually behave like social credit scoring Chinese. It's like, because when you realize that this is actually the one that's going to like free humanity, and all the other ones are like, you know, in hyphens, the cabal and all this kind of stuff. And I've always seen the infighting with the ordinal people and the laser-eyed people. And then even within that, then they went alkanes, runes, and then there were splits within splits. So
Yeah.
Gavin, you're right. It's like cults within cults. So cults attract more cults. I get it in my world, because that Jeff Berwick, he brought out a machine from this cult called the Amenethys cult, and they're all Monero people. And then I realized that they were a cult within a cult, because they all believe in electrons, and electrons don't exist in high frequency. So I'm like, oh my God, here we go. There's no, you can't, because, and the key is they don't want to hear the truth. That's the factor here. It's like they cannot deal with the truth. They go into like, they spurg out and go into a state of cognitive dissonance. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, can I say something? I just wanted to change, because when I first came on, in you know, coincidentally, you guys were talking about Mark Atwood's
Mark Atwood,
Satoshi's you know, man, I got to tell you, first off, let me preface this by saying I love Satoshi. Awesome, man. I've seen like every single one of his videos. I'm probably his biggest supporter next to you, Gavin, you know, and but you know, man, you know, and he always does this, but yesterday on the show, he did like too much of it, man, where, you know, he was going like 1,000,000 miles an hour, man, trying to like, you know, put so much information in like condense it. But, you know, and he naturally speaks like so fast that I can barely, and with his accent, man, I don't even, you know, it's hard for me to even understand British English sometimes, you know. But he, you know, he was just too fast, man, and you know, using all this terminology, and you know, if you've been in BSV for a few months, then yeah, you understand exactly what he's saying. But you know, I think he left more people confused than anything else, you know.
Newbie.
What's that?
For newbies?
Vince, Satoshi with Mark Atwood.
Oh no, I meant the show. I mean the other guy. What's the other guy's I'm sorry. Yeah, what's his name? The guy who runs the show, the host.
Oh, Mark Atwood. Yeah, but Mark didn't say anything all the way through. And what he did is he broke it down into layman's terms, and what it was beautiful actually, because I was listening to it with ears of who could hear this, and he broke it down into simple. BTC, like BSV is the real Bitcoin, and BSV is the fake Bitcoin. And now he was very clear. He was very clear, because what they did, right? So this is their whole thing is like they've been under that psyop of the Q, the Jasara and the Sara. Now I came into it with that psyop, looking at like the XRP and all that, and on paper it kind of made sense. But then I started to do more research into it, and then I actually found Gavin then with that, you know, that gematria guy, which I'm not into the gematria, but I listened to him. And then when you listen to the guy what was his name, Gavin, that guy from Australia that you used to talk to,
the doctor.
Yeah. So what's amazing though, if you listen to Crypto Rick talk to Dr. Craig Wright, and Crypto Rick's coming in, and you just realize that Crypto Rick, all he's got is all the noise. It's not his fault. He's just been programmed by all the noise of what XRP is, and what, you know, and all that stuff. So when he threw all that at Dr. Craig Wright just annihilated all of it. It was, I go to XRP people and say, watch this, and like most of them don't even watch it. But I went into the XRP and I started researching it. But anyway, that's what they all are. They think there's a Jasara and a Sara coming, and all the people I know, military, all of them, you know, that they all think it's going to be the WEF coins, like your Hedera H bars, your XDCs, your Constellation DAGs, your XRP, XLM. But Dr. Craig Wright and Satoshi give a very, well, actually, at that point, everything just gets destroyed, and you realize there is only one. It's like there can only be one Web 2. There can only be one Web 3, and this is it. Like, yeah, so for me,
Mark's Cosmic Adventure, is he a supporter of Jasara and Nasara?
Yeah, he right. So because he's from the millet, right? Remember that guy? I can't remember his name now. He talked about the Red Dragon, but Benjamin Fulford.
Oh,
So he
Fulford,
was,
yeah. I used to follow
yeah.
Fulford.
Yeah, me too. And he actually had a whole, because I followed you years before, man, all to do with like the bloody C60 and all that stuff. And I was poking the bear. I was poking the bear at that one. I was like, what is this C60? And listening to everything on C60, and I realized it was a psyop. But anyway. And you did too, which was great because you were one of the first people I found. He was like, "Oh, he gets it as well." So he actually met somebody that was doing the bombs with the Red Dragon. So Mark is what I'd say. Mark is. So I met Mark through a sound producer that was doing work with this band. He was doing like all these really good sound videos with some musical band, and then their videographer connected me to Mark. But Mark's kind of, they're like these truther people. I don't really follow. I've always been a little bit sort of tinfoil hat since I was a kid. But Mark's been doing a good job since the whole boogeyman and everything to wake people up to the fact that it was a scam. So they don't think, yeah. So he's basically, his vision is health and poetry. But he has got a crypto guy on. Now, the good thing is Satoshi just blew the lid off the whole Jasara Nasara XRP thing.
XRP.
They know this. Yeah, they know there's going to. Yeah, so this is amazing because this is now going to go out to all. Right, his network is huge, so it's going to it's like a domino. This is now out there because I've been trying to think to myself, man, Satoshi's just talking. It's like you can be in an echo chamber and we're all hearing the same thing. But he's now got it into a world that's just going to open like this. He's got finance people in his world, high level people in their own individual industries. So it's out. It's like he's got it out into the world. This is good.
Yeah.
This is not.
Let me go to Vince.
Yeah.
He wanted to say something.
Yeah, no. I guess I wasn't making myself clear. What I was saying though is Mark did a great job, and Satoshi did a great job also, but he was just going too fast, and if somebody that has no idea, what BSV is or anything about it, especially even if they don't even know about Bitcoin, they would have been lost after like the first few minutes of Satoshi speaking. It just wasn't clear, for a first time year. That was my point.
No, Ryan. I think it was. I think he came in really good because I've been listening to him. I listened to him a lot, right? I think the fact that he started off with the difference between money and currency, and like Mark was sat back listening.
Right.
Mark was like the devil's advocate, which would come in with a simple brass nut tax. Now, Vince, let me just say this, Gavin. What we've got to know is they've already got their little crypto section of their people that are already versed in crypto.
Yeah.
So it's actually good because, but what I was thinking is if they do, what they should do then is part two, because I was thinking about it afterwards, thinking, other things they could have talked about. And then I think even then if they get Dr. Craig Wright on, like with the historian, that Scottish historian that they brought on, when the historian brought on Dr. Craig Wright, and they've done part 1, part 2, part 3. But this is now she's connected to that guy. They can get Gavin on there. They can get Dr. Craig Wright on there. The door's open.
Yeah,
basically.
Their audience seemed to be pretty sophisticated audience, Vince. I would say that was my experience. I noticed some the two guys on there were very sophisticated. So I think it was an appropriate dialogue for Satoshi. They were very educated, qualified individuals, and it was like they seemed to. I understood what he was saying, but I get it. If it was a brand new newbie boomer with nothing, that was a deep conversation. It was.
But he did say, "Can you explain it to my granny?" I just, and even at the end, I'm going to buy one BSV. It's their network within the network. That's just their little crypto element. So I think it. But anyway, Vince, no good. That is, he does go fast, but. I thought it was really coherent and clear. That's what I thought. I
wanted to work on trying to figure out how to say this in a very short, succinct way. I'm going to add Raphael up. He's having a hard time joining for some reason, but because I've had these conversations, and like my cousin, he's in Thailand, and there's people out there that he's going to be coming. He's coming into the space right now, and he's like he knows nothing, but he's freaking super high level genius, but he knows nothing about this space. So I'm like, how do I give this to him without going crazy while keeping it simple, where, you know, it's like, boom, you know, I mean, that 90 second, 30-second pitch, you know, it's like, really got to work on that, I guess. Is all I'm saying, you know. What
If they know it, Gavin, if they know you know, what I do is, if they know what Bitcoin is, not like in depth or anything, or, you know, anything technical at all, but they just know about Bitcoin. Man, that Grand Theft Bitcoin video that I forget the guy's name who did it or whatever, that is like awesome, man. I mean, it just lays it all out, and you know, talks about Epstein and just puts everything together in just a relatively short period of time. You know, I think it's like, what, 7-8 minutes, 9 minutes long or whatever, because that's all you're really going to get their attention span. But if you get them to buckle them down and you know, and sit and maybe even stop here and there and watching it through with them, it says everything, man. Everything they need to know.
Yeah, I mean, I think where he's coming from is because everybody uses money, and we all know it's you know, we all know, like me and you know, that it's, and I'm guilty of what you're actually saying, because I do a lot of stuff with high frequency, and I take it for granted. I was talking to the tree chat owner about this, and like he probably does the same thing. We probably all do, but I think where Satoshi's too in his greater vision is this whole, are we going CBDC or are we going this route? And I think he's just wanting people to understand there's a difference between money and currency, and the fact that we're like lemmings. We just use money. And remember that there's that post, wasn't there, with that great banker, and he talks to he's not a banker, he's an economist, and he goes and talks to the people in the Bank of England, and they're like, he's saying how money works. Most people use money and don't even understand what it is. And I think that's just where he's to right now, and on his particular vision. But I guess we're all always trying to simplify things and all that stuff. But I think the people in Mark Atwood's network have actually got brain cells. That's what I'd say.
So it's a good conversation for those higher level crowds. So let me open up to Raf, if you want to. You're on the stage with us as well, buddy. I seen all the stuff you've been putting out there, all the hodl cult and the sheep. So what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you guys doing? Good to be here.
Yours. Talk to me.
No, well, I'm just happy to be amongst real Bitcoiners. So it's just cool. I just came by to say hi. Seems like you guys talked about everything already that I wanted to talk about. But yeah, Satoshi, man, I can talk about him, but I don't want to. If I have nothing nice to say, no, the dude is cool, man. It's just sometimes he says things that are a little bit out there for the normal person. Like he said on that interview, he said that COVID was the reason for COVID was that they were trying to stop BSV. I'm like, yes, I agree, dude. But now, like, you don't say that. Yeah. Most people think that you're like fucking loony at that point. They lose you.
Might be true, but it's far out there. But I love Satoshi for saying those things. You know, so
I remember that. I remember what happened. Like right before it was a London Bitcoin conference, and it was the biggest one ever. It was incredible. It was Anarchapulco, and it was all about BSV. At the same time as the London Bitcoin conference was happening, we were having like our own like anarchist BSV event in Mexico, which is Anarchapulco pretty much. That's what really, because if you really think about it, really think about it, BSV is like the most punk rock thing out there. But totally. I mean, but the most that first people don't think it is, because they see the suits, they hear the rhetoric of Craig Wright, to talk about law, but they don't. Once you go a layer deeper in awareness, you're like, oh shit, dude. Like this is the real deal. These guys are not just running from the surveillance state and the technocracy like they do in privacy coins. You know, it's like a privacy coin is amazing because it allows you to survive during a concentration camp like environment, right? Like you can still get your bread, you can still get your food, you can still get some cheese, even if it's not allowed. You can still figure out how to, because you have a privacy coin. But you know, the fullness of Bitcoin really allows people to compete with the establishment, and I think Satoshi did a great job at I think honestly, guys, I think we're probably giving him a little bit too hard of a time, But I don't think Satoshi gets too many opportunities to speak because he is very much all BSV. So when he is allowed to speak, it's like a fire hose, right? You're gonna get everything. And so you got to give him some grace too, man. It's not like me.
One thing you just mentioned that I think I've never heard anyone say this before, that Bitcoin SV is punk rock. That's freaking a badass statement right there.
Well, it's the most punk rock if you really think about it.
And what I just saw, so I didn't grow up in this era, but I for the very first time, honestly, I've been exposed to Billy Idol. I don't know anything. I never followed Billy Idol. I was born after that era, into it. So it's like, but Eyes Without a Face, the song 84, 85 came out.
Yeah, that's amazing.
This movie with Billy Idol. Now it's called Billy Idol Should Be Dead. It's a documentary on Amazon. You could watch. It just came out, and I watched it last night for the first time. Oh my God, so punk rock. And the movie and the Eyes Without a Face song is so new. You just like spoke to me on that, bro. Like it's punk rock. And that's what Billy Idol was punk rock. It's so fucking true.
I mean, if you think about it, every other approach to Bitcoin has been very on the defensive, right? And the only alternative offensive approach to Bitcoin has been one where we saw with Core, which it's offensive in attacking Bitcoin and offensive also in doing the bidding of the central bankers. So we've seen that has been their offensive move, but the rest has been defensive, protecting itself from outside critique, which created the culture that we saw that led to all of these hacks because people got careless. If you're a maximalist that is toxic, that is completely antithetical. That creates a culture that's antithetical to the peer review process. So to be honest, a lot of Bitcoin wallets are I'm pretty sure they all have vulnerabilities because they thought themselves to be like the most perfect, the smartest ones, and anyone that challenged them in any way was a shitcoiner. And so they did that to their own detriment. They went against the free and open source software ethos, the FOSS ethos, and they created a culture out of that toxicity that fired back on them. And they fired back even more now with BIP-110, which is that that part of the network which feels betrayed, and rightfully so, because they are the extreme small blockers that don't want anything to change, that want everything to be ossified, and they rightly detected what we detected, that Core was just grifting a cypherpunk libertarian rhetoric. But in reality, they've been doing the bidding for the Epstein class, which we saw coming a long time ago before anyone else did.
Yeah.
So we saw it coming. I didn't even know about the ties with Jeffrey Epstein, but I always knew that there was something going on. Like you can just, you just don't botch up Bitcoin that bad, right? So you don't remove Segwit.
So
you don't.
Luke, they feel betrayed by Core. Is that what you feel like with what's happening with
100%? Because they still think of themselves as like the ones that are holding the ground for their understanding of Bitcoin as being this settlement layer for central banks. I know it sounds really messed up, but that's literally how they see it. They want to force the hand of all central banks to use Bitcoin as a settlement layer. So it was Daniel Krawitz who created an article criticizing this mindset, a mindset that grew out of from a man in a cult created before the cult of Core started, which was the Mircea Popescu, and he had a mindset where they were the new gold barons. And so from this comes from a very toxic culture where they wanted to create a two-tier system, a patrician class and a plebeian class. So the patrician class are those that have the privilege to settle on chain. Everyone else is stuck in the old TradFi world. That's pretty much what they really cared. That's really how they saw themselves, and that's really what they care for. And so even BIP-110, the Knots crowd, still holds to that worldview. Unfortunately, they hold to that worldview, and the thing is that Core already gave the keys to the kingdom to BlackRock and to their kingdom, to BlackRock and to Bilderberg from the beginning when the leader of Bilderberg was the one that led their funding. So they already did the bidding of the bankers, right? Like Core is a banker network, and they're really scared of Satoshi. They're really scared of Satoshi. They're really scared of Satoshi and what we know of Bitcoin. So now they are. What's up?
Yeah, so you know that when Satoshi said about the Corona part of it, when I was looking into Corona, there was who was the lady, Catherine Austin Fitz, and her mate John Titus. They did an expose early on during Corona when they worked out that there was something called the going direct, and this is when the Fed met with BlackRock, which was a conflict of interest. And 28 days later, coronavirus happened, and that was to go after the retail money. So he's not. If you put those two together, I think he and a lot of people, because we know that it had nothing to do with the virus. So the fact that it was to do with the finance and the money, it's a real, or the going after the retail. That's quite an important caveat to put in there. I think I just wanted to drop that little thing, because that was something that was illuminating for me at the time. Was learning about the
like one thing that I hung out with Casey in person recently, and something she said that really hit home for me was like, look, all of this history that we know of is very important. We need to document everything on chain. Like we should have these conversations. I hope Twitch has a channel like this where we can talk on Twitch soon. That would be amazing. But anyways, the truth is what she said. Like, look, man, all this history is very important, but we are in a completely new chapter now. Like Dr. Craig Wright Satoshi and his team were able to scale the Bitcoin original protocol to over 1 million transactions per second. One of the leading devs, Light BSV, he just proved how BSV scales to 9 million transactions per second using multicast. And Craig Wright already showed us how we're going to scale to 1 billion transactions per second using multicast and anycast. And so since I'm curious, I started looking at IPv6 and how IPv6 scales. Guess what? IPv6 scales using multicast and anycast. So the fact that Dr. Craig Wright, out of everyone in crypto, Satoshi himself, has been invited and continues to go to the IEEE conferences is of no consequence. It's of very much consequence, because he has been designing Bitcoin to scale along with the internet. And over 50% of the internet right now is IPv6. Most people don't even know that. So we have a lot of responsibility in our hands. And I think responsibility to ourselves. I think that what we need to do now is, if you know about BSV, the best thing you can do is just acquire as much as you can right now at these low prices. And what you are doing by doing that is that you're protecting the network, because you understand this better than most people. So that's what I'm doing.
Raphael,
Yo, what's up?
Raphael, did you say that on Tree Chat today? Like, stop bitching about the price and keep stacking. Was that you?
No, it wasn't me. I've been a hypocrite, and I haven't been using Tree Chat or I haven't been using Tree Chat or Twitch for a while. I really need to though, but don't copy what I do. Copy what I say.
Oh yeah. Well, I've been doing it. I've been stacking anyway, and just telling everybody about it. But yeah, I think Satoshi, a lot of it goes over my head. That's why today I like listening to, when you get someone like Satoshi then go into new waters and talk to someone for the first time. It's a breath of fresh air, because I get to learn something new and it helps me to keep it simple, stupid, for my brain to learn and glean what it actually is. Yeah. So I like that. I like when they meet new people. It's good, because they have to break it down to the raw brass tacks, don't they? They have to break it right down so people can understand.
Back to you, Raf. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to shout out to Mr. Ben on the audience. I saw what you did with that robot, and I think it's incredible, man. Wow, like every movement of this robot happens on chain in BSV. That is incredible, dude. Like that just opened up my third eye in a way I've never even expected, dude. Congratulations to you.
Like, what's the potential for that, Raf? Like with that, what he built with the robot, what's the potential for that? That seems
dude, like at that point, we are in uncharted territory. we really start feeling like we are. See, that's the thing, man, is that like with BSV, you actually expand your mind. Everywhere else, it's such brain rot, you know? Where do we go from there, man? Wherever our imagination wants, really. And
I
that's
started thinking, like, wait a second, that's a really big deal with the robot.
a
At
huge
first I was
deal,
like,
dude.
no, that's not a big deal. But then I thought, wait a second, like that's like right. It seems like
I want to program a bunch of like personal drones using this, and these drones, I can have them, you know, cultivate the land for me. They can be my bodyguards at all time if I arm them. You know, I mean, there's so much that could be done. I can lease robots. You know, I can lease the robots to someone else.
It's the potential is huge. Potential is absolutely huge. I mean, I just did it's just a toy at the end of the day, but it's not just about me building this little car. It's what Babbage has done. You know, that's where the magic is as well. So I built this car, I don't know, maybe 8 months ago, maybe longer, a year ago, and I was waiting for it so I could test it with Terranode and see how the transactions and how fast I could get this moving in real time. And then and that came through, and then I jumped on it again, and then I started using, obviously with AI, and then I was using BitGenius, which Babbage has also done, and it's, well, you know, came up, so use BRC-105. So I'm literally sending transactions over, so converted from a normal web page to a web page that takes payments. And the speed in which, so I did yesterday evening, I did we did a kind of like a demo with meetup on with Babbage and these guys. Unfortunately, my router at home was just it's a bit crap and old. So when I had live streaming and I was doing OBS sort of this thing where you flick in between the program where you can switch between different cameras, and I had 3 cameras going, one on the car, one on me, and one filming the car. And unfortunately, it was just a bit too much for my crappy old computer. But it did show that it moves. But it was, when I do it for real, it moves really fast, like in milliseconds. And that is really extraordinary. And when I first did it the other week, I was just literally sat back and was like, oh my goodness, that was insane. I literally pressed the button and it moved.
That's amazing.
The potential for this, Mr. Ben, of like where, like a year, 2 years from now, what people will be doing with that?
Well, that would be key, wouldn't it?
You can literally. I mean, it's just your imagination. It can, like you were saying, we would like to do drones. I mean, imagine it. Amazon sending drones their parcels. But the thing is, what you need as well. So you then take Ryan from the indelible side of it all as well, and then you have the AI remembering what it's already done. So, for example, we could just do a simple test. So yesterday, again, it was like I got the AI to drive the car, sending transactions, and it did a square. So you could do AI with AI together, like, and so my anyway, go back. So what Ryan's done with indelible is that, again, all that information. Say if I'm trying to get from A to B, and teach this little car how to get there. And it's a big maze, and it has to work out from A to B the fastest route. So it can use Bitcoin again to remember what was the fastest route, because it's all written on chain. So it does, 2 or 3 times, 4 times, 10 times, and then it doesn't forget, and it can work out, I've done that one, it was quicker this way, let's go that way. Oh, and in the end, it's completely nailed it.
It learns.
So it would all be on BSV. You've got the memory on BSV, you've got the transactions on BSV, then what Todd Price is doing with given the sort of boundaries to what the AIs can do, that's also on BSV. So you have the whole system there. It's all coming together. And that's what I'm seeing. And, so I'm no coder. I'm using AI heavily. And, but I can see things, I read up about it, and I can put things together. And so at the end of the day,
what's your background? Do you have a regular job?
Yeah, I work in the film industry. So I'm actually an animatronic engineer by trade. So I make wobbly monsters, creature effects, special effects. I have an engineering side of it all. So, I used to do, when it's not CGI and it's a real puppet or mechanical creature, that's what I build, or prop making and things like that. So, I'm engineering based, lots of the big movies. But what I was trying to find a way was trying.
How you found this whole space. I remember I met you in London at that conference, but before that, we talked on an X Space a few times before that. So I'm just thinking, like, how did you find all this? How did you figure this thing out?
I came through. So my story is I originally started, I found out about Bitcoin back in 2011, but like a lot of people, I'm sure, who saw it and picked up on it, didn't run with it. I kind of didn't understand it at the time. I kind of thought of it as this a scam. Looked into it a bit, had a chat with my missus, should we buy some? In the end, we're like, no, we didn't do it. It's like, damn it, wish we had. But, I think that story's similar to a lot of people. Anyway, and then come 2020, or 2019, I hear these stories coming out of China of this sort of virus that's going around, and I was like, what the hell is that? And then started seeing all the ports in China shutting down. And I have to admit, back then I was convinced that was it. I thought that this is it. The economy is going to tank now, and I have to find something to protect my family. So, like, usual precious metals or whatever. And, don't get me wrong, I haven't got a ton of it. It's just anything, you're scraping it all together to try and you can see things coming, but you haven't got the resources to buy as much as you think you want. So I got into the whole crypto stuff and started reading. And I got taken by XRP. It became a real XRP maxi. And, and I'd look at Bitcoin and be like, how the hell is this thing going to control the world, run the world? I mean, it's slow, it's crap, it's tight, however many. It's just ludicrous. It's kind of like thinking of it like Sony Ericsson or to Apple now. It's the mobile phones as a metaphor. So I just thought, it's just one of the. I couldn't understand why people thought that Bitcoin was going to be the most important thing since sliced bread. I just couldn't get it in my head. And then obviously it was like XRP, oh my God, this is the right one, this is it. And then went down that route. And then I started dawning on me that realizing that this is going to be the changing of our financial system. So what I want to try and do is start investing in the rails, the foundational rails, who has the patents behind all this. And then that's when I started find out about Reggie Middleton. So I was looking into the Veritasium token and the patents that he held. And a lot of Reggie's videos where he's walking around New York, he's talking about this chap, Craig Wright, an N-chain. I was like, who's that? And then I started looking into Craig Wright, and then Satoshi's videos come up on YouTube. I think I watched a couple of Satoshi's videos, and then you were talking about earlier, discussing how someone who doesn't know anything, how he would talk so fast. I think it's brilliant. I mean, at the end of the day, he makes it as clear as anything. And I listened to that, and I just couldn't get enough. And I think I watched so many of his videos back then to get better understanding it. And I think within 2 weeks, I sold everything. you know, all my other things.
So Reggie's talking about the patents in New York that he had, and he brought up the N-chain patents. I remember that time, and he brought them up.
Yep.
And that was your first exposure. You're like, what's N-chain? What's Craig Wright?
Who's Craig Wright?
Yeah.
Had no idea.
Wow.
And then the penny dropped, and then I understood what Bitcoin was and what it could do, and the micropayments, and then it was literally, oh my god. And then of course it just, you know, went, but then it was still 2 or 3 years to the speculation of like, is this, you know, I wasn't any other digital assets, but I was very much still, well, maybe it's not the one or whatever, back and forth. And then until recently, without doubt, well, more than recently, until I started delving into everything that's going on with Tokenovate, everything that's going on behind the scenes there, what's going in the economies and all the Finos and all the CDM, basically all the standardization of what they're trying to bring into the derivative markets. And then it was at that blockchain where I met you, Gavin, when I bumped into from Tokenovate, Richard Baker. We're having a chat with him, and then just the penny dropped. I go, oh my god, this is absolutely huge. And then I started delving into that, and then I realised it's what's coming there. And then so that took me along, and then I was in this car and I was struggling along with it, and I was looking on the internet, onto X, and then this random post comes up about Delible and how to make your AI remember. And I thought, oh, that's exactly what I need. And I think I was Ryan's second customer.
Yeah.
And I started using it, and then I'm using BSB every single day now.
Now, did you use VS? Did he show you how to use VS, or were you pretty familiar with it already?
No, he had to show me.
Okay.
He showed me. So I was using Claude already beforehand, but like you, I was getting frustrated with it because, you know, it would suddenly max out, or I would shut it, and then I'd have to. You would lose the flow basically, and also start drifting. And every time it would rise, it would just lose more and more information, and it was just really frustrating. So, and then when I started using what Brian's done, I was just like, oh my goodness, this is so powerful. And then, of course, then I was able to properly build the cart.
Now,
and
did you use the agents? Have you started using the agents yet?
I've been kind of doing it on my own way anyway. So I've been using Very, which is Reggie Middleton's agent, and I'm plugged in with my Claude on VS, and I've been using the agents as well. So I have like a ton of agents working with them, and it's so you have to constantly verify. You know, Claude will definitely be, oh yeah, this is brilliant, yeah. And then you go, hang on a minute, can you just run that through Very or through this agent or whatever? And then you go, oh yeah, it's come back, and I missed that, and I missed this. And this. So it's really important to go through various agents, because you know the good thing with that large language models, you're always kind of like, oh, well done, you're doing great, yeah. But it's like, hang on a minute. Sometimes you have to give it and say, just really critical.
There's fatal flaws in things very oftentimes, and you've got to. I mean, I need the agents. I wish I'm looking forward to seeing that. But if you're not formally trained in either coding or law or whatever you're working on, you're not going to see those fatal flaws. That's the problem with it. So,
and you can see people when they're using it, and I'm just as much as well when I first started using Claude AI. I started with ChatGPT. That it's like, oh, this is right, that's right, and then it's like later when you've published something or done something, I go, oh, hang on, that was really wrong. Or or something.
Amazing though
It's
that we're
vitally.
we're spending the Satoshis every single day now on these transactions.
Absolutely.
Like it's really kind of cool. I think I've used how many have you used? Have you looked at your wallet? Like what's your amount and how much you funded it when you started?
I mean, I originally put in like 0.2 was it was less than half a Bitcoin. I've used it all, and I've been using it every day. You're still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, that's right. I thought I just dropped my phone. I wasn't sure if I'd actually.
Vince has his hand up. I think Vince, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something about Vertasium. Did you, Ben? Did you find it odd that Reggie decided to go through, use Coinbase blockchain instead of BSV? I mean, after all that he was saying about Craig and BSV and all that, and he goes and uses Coinbase.
Wasn't he litigating with Coinbase? Wasn't he in litigation?
But the whole thing. He did, and he won part of it. I mean, it's still ongoing, I believe. But he's agnostic, and he's kept saying that he's just chain agnostic, and so if you actually use his Veritasium AI model, you can pay for things with USDC, XRP. And I think there's two others. I can't remember what they are. Bitcoin, I guess. Veritasium, I'm sure. But it's still so early days. I've questioned. Are you using BSV, Bitcoin? I think it will come. I really do. But I think, to be honest, if I understand really, it doesn't really matter what you use, because his AI is basically it's about sovereignty of your information on that AI and using multiple AIs, and it's just what you're paying with between people. So that could open up to anything from it's Ethereum, of course. He's got Ethereum on there. But it's literally whatever you want to buy or spend and buy and sell in, and that will come in time. So I don't think it's necessarily, because basically what you do is you sign up your silver round, and then it's an NFT on the Ethereum network and the base network, and you're just verifying it there, but then you're into the AI, and then you have access to, you can buy and sell in whatever. So it doesn't matter. It's just whatever deal.
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of like, a little weird that, of all the chains, he goes and chooses, base, so, to do it. I even called him out on it when he first announced it. And and his response was like, well, it does everything, I need it to do. I was like, well, I mean, can't BSV also do the same thing? And now that you're saying that it's chain agnostic, I mean, that's even more reason to pick BSV. But again, though, if you're thinking for the greater good and long term, this is the way that you're going to get, more people, using, his Vertasium is people will get access.
I mean, absolutely. So and the most people use, the smart contracts and things like that is still the Ethereum network. However, I still think Reggie knows, he's a very, very smart guy, and he knows the power of Bitcoin. And the reason he has those patents, because he knows the power of Bitcoin, and he has some vital patents there. 2 or 3 of the biggest patents you could hold, he owns them.
So can I ask, just like, and very humbly, I mean, what is the Vertasium? I mean, what's the whole purpose for it? Because I'm not sure I even understand it. Is it just like, backing silver on the blockchain? And I mean, aren't there a million other ways of doing that if need be?
The silver round is literally, and this is what I think he's done, which is really clever. He's done another commoditized digital asset. So he's printed an NFT on a silver round. So you have a genesis or a foundational on actual commodity of silver. And there's only a finite number of these silver rounds. And so like Bitcoin, and as Satoshi described, as we all know, how Bitcoin is a commodity because it went through the commoditization process, but there can only be one that can ever do that. And I think Reggie has worked out how you can do it by printing it on a silver round. Now he's got the patent for that now. So there's two ways of doing it. The Bitcoin way, and now what Reggie has done with putting his NFT printed, laser etched on a commodity.
Yeah, I have one of the smart metals.
They're beautiful. Yeah,
they're beautiful.
Casey, do you know?
I'm sorry?
What does the Veritasium do?
I mean, exactly what Mr. Ben is saying. I think it's I don't fully understand it. I really got it as more of a collector's item and just speculation on the future of that as a technology like you were describing. So it seems very revolutionary. I'm not the expert to try to explain it to the crowd.
It's still work in progress. But
I mean, the only thing that I can think of that, has any real use. I mean, look, you got the real silver in your hand. There's nothing more than you can do with that. Now, etching a serial number, if you will, that you can prove provenance, you can prove, history, whatever. I mean, that's the only reason that I would see that, in chain of custody, I guess. But why though? I mean, there are a million different ways that you can do that. I just don't really see the point.
No, but what I'm saying is you've commoditized an asset, digital asset. This is the thing. That's what I'm saying about is so that we know that Bitcoin SV, the original Bitcoin, is the only digital commodity available. All others are securities. So how else would you else get around that?
Yeah, I get it, but what are you going to do with it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So that
you can't trade it because you still need the silver, the physical silver with it, right?
You just said he's now got an agent because I've got two of them as well, and then you scan the coin, and then the coin has got utility. So
exactly.
The actual coin itself
gives you access to utility, to us payment rails.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so you're going to pay somebody's going to accept payment with the silver that you're actually
No, you're not getting it. No, you're not getting it. You're not getting it. You're not getting it. The silver round is like the Genesis block. It's literally like your foundational of the whole thing. It has the value of, it's the beginning of everything. So that is that's all the silver rails does. That gives you access. That NFT gives you access to what the utility does, which is these very, very powerful AIs, and a whole area which is developing from that. It's still early days with what they're doing there, really early days, and it's the whole platform is around it. So it's really very, very interesting. And it's all based around AI because Reggie, he's totally, he's another one of these people who's just, you see things and just, he can visualize where this is going with AI and the issues. And
I remember when Veritasium, because we heard about it from Cliff High's WebBot report, and I got it around that time, probably around